real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
This week, you and the G7 allies introduced a plan for an oil price cap for Russian exports, which is not yet filled out, and obviously is a response to the high price of gasoline in the United States and around the world. Are you confident that that cap would bring down prices for American drivers? And how long is it fair to expect American drivers to continue to pay a premium because of this war?
Let me hear this. The second part of the question was, would it bring down the price?
Will it bring down prices? And the war has pushed prices up. They could go as high as $200 a barrel, some analysts think. How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine. This is a critical position for the world. Here we are. Why do we have NATO? I told Putin that, in fact, if he were to move, we would move to strengthen NATO. We would move to strengthen NATO across the board. Look, let me explain the price. I suggested a while ago that what we should consider doing is putting a cap on the amount of money that we would pay for, the world would pay for Russian oil, and that we would not provide, the West provides insurance, would not insure Russian ships carrying oil. We would not provide insurance for them, so they would have great difficulty getting customers. The point is that we've said to them, here's the deal. We're going to allow you to have a profit on what you make, but not the exorbitant prices that you're charging for the oil now. We've delegated a commission, a group of our national security people to sit down and work out that mechanism. We think it can be done. We think it can be done, and it would drive down the price of oil, and it would drive down the price of gasoline as well. In addition, at home, I have also called for changes. I've released 1 million barrels of oil per day from our oil reserve, and in addition to getting other nations to move forward, a total of 240 million barrels of oil to release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, number one. Number two, I've asked Congress, would they in fact go and temporarily end the tax on gasoline at the pump? And thirdly, to ask the states to do the same thing. If we do these things, it's estimated we could bring down tomorrow, if Congress agreed and the states agreed, we could bring down the price of oil about $1 a gallon at the pump, in that range. And so we could have immediate relief in terms of the reduction of the elimination of temporary elimination of the gas tax. And so I think there's a lot of things we can do and we will do, but the bottom line is, ultimately, the reason why gas prices are up is because of Russia.
So I wanted to make sure that I play that clip first. Hello, everybody. My name is Jamar Jabari. I will be meeting with Tommy Nation shortly. He has something going on, so hopefully he can get on anytime soon. But other than that, we're going to keep the conversation going. And if anybody have any questions, definitely the comment section is live and all that stuff. We're streaming all over. Again, I'm over here on Tommy Nation's platform as well too, not only just my platform. So shouts out to Tommy Nation for letting me also live stream on his platform as well too. So what I want to talk about is just very short and simple. Um, this whole speech that happened at the convention for NATO, basically, which was basically about a few days ago. Now, the importance of this conference is two things. One, the biggest part. I got my camera off right now because I'm having some lag issues. Just to let everybody know. So this will just be a listening session for right now. So one issue is that not issue, but one demonstration that happened in the conference that a lot of people should look up. You should look up Brussels. 70,000 workers in Brussels while they had this conference in Madrid. 70,000 workers marched against NATO. So this already has been seen as out of touch to just workers in Europe before we even get into the workers here in the United States, what they're going through. In Europe, it is bad. You see that right now he's talking about Biden's talking about how important it is to give a cap on Russian oil, how important it is to try to stop the flow. One thing that he's not fully acknowledging that the West does not want to acknowledge is that the West is small. The West only makes up, let's think how small the West is. The West only makes up of European countries, the United States, Australia, Japan, I believe New Zealand as well too, compared to 55 countries in Africa. I don't know how many countries in Asia, so I'm not going to just give a number. And all of Latin America is not considered the West. So a lot of countries are not falling with this ideal that Russia is a bad business partner. In fact, they are falling with the idea that Russia is a good business partner, which is why they're giving them so much money. India alone, I read that it almost got 100 billion in oil. The ruble itself is increasing. Economists are saying that this is the year for Russian ruble that is at its highest that it has ever been in history. This is also looking at how the Chinese dollar is looking too, better than the American dollar. And there's a lot you could say about that with oil, especially with the deal that Saudi Arabia is now considering with China alone. That is going to be a very, very, very big, significant problem for the US dollar. This is just something that is very important that you're seeing right now is that the United States is not really too keen on giving up their power. They are no longer the ruling power anymore. It's not that era where everyone has to fall in line. Now you can either fall in line with whoever you want. You don't even have to fall in line. You could just choose to if you're in a different country. I'm talking about not in the West, not in the West. And for example, India chooses who they want to deal with. So when we talk about these gas prices on the West side, there's a lot of issues, especially here in the United States, which we're going to get to. But in Europe, they had majority of Russian oil. So you can see the struggle that they have with that. Not even just with that, fertilizer as well too. Food prices are going up. Here in the United States, they try to say that it's fully Russia's responsibility for this government to have issues with gas prices and all this stuff. But this is not true. It is not Russia's responsibility. And I think that it is very disingenuous for a president like Joe Biden to, instead of bring up the issues that have with price gouging, ExxonMobil, and all these other big oil companies that are basically putting the prices the way they want. If you look at the money follows. They are in business. This is the biggest they have ever made. They are making so much money, it is stupid. So he can blame Russia and then all of a sudden say, all right, let's try to get governors to to drop their tax on oil. Let's try to get Congress to pass better. You can sign executive orders. You can sign executive orders. You can also put pressure, I don't know, on your Democratic Party, like how you guys failed and let the abortion situation just fall off the planet. And now all of a sudden you're saying everything that every progressive and socialist was saying for years to codify Roe v. Wade. You wait last minute for everything. When shit hits the fan, all of a sudden you got to now mobilize. Everybody got to be like, oh, well, he's trying to do something. With this gas thing, he's not. Let me give you an example. Nixon. A lot of people don't like Nixon. I don't like Nixon. But one thing that Nixon did that is very interesting that no president after him did, which they also did again in World War II, which is probably where he learned it from. He actually put a fix on oil. He put a set price through the law. He put a set price on goods and stuff. All of this to counter inflation. Now, you go to today, we have a huge inflation under a country that has a federal minimum wage at $7 and some change. That is no way anyone can live. It's up to the states to raise minimum wage. And even if they raise it to $15 an hour, it is still not a living wage. Economists are saying that we need at least $33 an hour. And that's probably even higher now by 2025. It's probably going to be like $40 an hour was what minimum wage should be the way inflation is going. Like two examples of presidents that are, well, actually, I'll give you one example. President that is now doing something to counter inflation in their country. If we go to Venezuela, which I want to do a segment very soon on the rise of the left within Latin America, which is just another segue. We go to Venezuela, we have a president named Nicolas Maduro who has been dealing with inflation in a similar way, but it's an aggression while dealing with sanctions. You see the businessmen that own these businesses, they push their prices up, and he is always increasing minimum wage. This is something that you could definitely look at. He increases minimum wage to fix towards the prices that the food and everything is going towards. They also have programs where they give out essential goods, items that you're able to cook with different ingredients for lower class people so they can still have meals. And also, not to mention, Venezuela has the largest reserves of oil in the entire world. So when you see a president like Joe Biden, who him and Trump both tried to assassinate the president Nicolas Maduro and put someone in power by the name of Juan Guaido, who is a nobody, that he was the president apparently, but now he's not anymore. Why? Because they need oil. So you're seeing them getting desperate. There are people that are saying that they feel that this is all a ruse. I do feel it's a ruse too, but seeing the efforts that they're trying to make deals and Saudi Arabia is not trying to get them oil, there's something that is deeper within this oil situation that I can't put my hands on because I'm not embedded with the ruling class. Yeah, clearly not embedded with the ruling class. So I don't know. But there is something going on there that we do not fully understand. And does just say that it's Russia when you have all these billionaires and people with old money like trillionaires that control the oil industry, that control the free market in general, and all these prices are going up. You can't just blame the country that you do not like, the country that you want to topple because of whatever interest that you have. You can't just do that. But let's look at the state of the country. There was a kid that was murdered a few days ago. He was shot 60 times. The police shot 90 times. He was shot 60 times. There's always been an outcry for something to do about police brutality. Biden goes and says we need to get the cops more, while people that support him was saying defund the police. But Biden said, no, fund the police. So that's where he's out of touch with the working class, one part. Second part, the oil. And he wants you to believe in one entity who is not even the president of the United States. Putin is the president of Russia, but apparently what a Russian president does with oil can harm what the United States does with oil. What was the point of toppling all these countries for oil for a long time to have this issue? It's definitely embedded within our system. Women's reproductive rights, that's been flopped. And there's no way in hell that it's going to be a very hard time to get this codified into law with Congress. A very hard time to codify this into law with Congress. I don't even know if it's possible because, let alone how the Republicans feel, the Democratic Party is not 100% on one side with this. There are Democrats that are anti-abortion in the Senate as well too. So, yeah, I mean, Joe Manchin, let's just say his name for a second. He hasn't agreed with anything that Biden has proposed. In fact, whenever there was a time to get something done, Democrat Joe Manchin is one of the big guys that literally say no. So, I don't know. This is a big injustice. Honestly, I feel like the Supreme Court should be aborted, plainly and simply, because one, they're not a body that is voted in by the people. It's a body that's appointed by an official that was voted by the people. Two, these are all old people that have old ideals. And this is the issue that coincides with the ruling class and the Pentagon. All these people have a mindset of when it goes back to Vietnam days and before, where communism is bad, all these things are bad. If it's not about capitalism, when capitalism has literally claimed the lives of millions of people, it's all about world domination, imperialism. You cannot tell me the United States is not an imperialist country when they have a third of the world under their sanctions, and there's almost 900, probably even more than that, bases around the world, and majority of their bases are surrounding countries that they do not have good ties with, who they want to topple or whatever interest they want for the Pentagon. It's the Pentagon's interest at the end of the day. So these are very big deals. It's a very big deals, and like he said, we are just going to have to deal with the prices of gas going up, just like we're going to have to deal with the prices of food going up. It's fucked. Why? Because he rather spend billions of dollars a month on Ukraine, which Ukraine is now collapsed. If anyone really see what's going on in the news, I have had people come on from Ukraine. I have had people come on that had done journalism by visiting Ukraine, not by sitting at teleprompters and reading what the CIA tells them to read. Like that journalist that asked Biden, hey, Russia this, Russia that, literally just buying all of their big ass propaganda. You talking about Russian propaganda. What about this propaganda that's in front of us here in America? He literally bought every story. He repeated every CIA term. That's why he's in the club. He gets to be in the club because he's a puppet. But I spoke to people that are not puppets that actually seen firsthand. I even had a dude on that is on the regime side. So that's how transparent I have tried to be when I'm talking about covering Ukraine. They don't have the gall to do that. They don't have the gall. They're scared to even give the real truth of what's going on. And the biasness. We can give billions of dollars a month to a country that a lot of Americans are guaranteed to not know existed until Russia invaded them. But we can't give billions of dollars to ease the suffering, a cognitive easing, not for the banks, but a cognitive easing for the people, a cognitive easing for the working class. We can't give a cognitive easing to the working class. But we could bail out banks and we could give other countries millions of dollars like Israel. a state like Israel that literally slaughters Palestinians unarmed. It's not a religious state. There's Christian Palestinians, there's Jewish Palestinians, there's all kinds of different demographics of Palestinians, but they still slaughter them and try to make it seem like it's one thing. And we push that. Our tax dollars pay for that. So we can pay for all this stuff, all the bloodshed with war, but we can't give a cognitive easing to our working class. That was just thoughts to think about. Some really good thoughts to think about. I think it's very important that the United States, workers in the United States. I mean, today is fucking the actual day that the Declaration of Independence was actually signed. 4th of July, they decided to make it that day holiday, but today's the actual day. And it actually took them a few more days to figure out what to do with that piece of document, the Declaration of Independence. And when I see people that literally give out valid reasons of why their rights are being affected, being destroyed, and they still are able to celebrate the birth of this nation, especially people that look like me when we were enslaved, still when they dropped that piece of document, it kind of bothers me. But then I'm also like, look, I like burgers, so whatever. I like to eat. That's a joke. It still fucking bothers me. But here's the issue. Is this country really free? That's why I brought this up. Your rights are being taken away. Do you still feel free? And if you don't, then why not give them shit? Why are we always depending on them? I'm talking about the Democrats and the Republicans. Why do we give them the benefit of the doubt, especially the Democrats? Why is there always an excuse? If Trump was in office right now, telling people the gas prices are going to be the same until Putin is dead, just the fact that you can like threaten a sitting world leader like that. Biden has some cojones for saying something like that. That does not come with just, oh, he said it. That comes with repercussions. Other countries are hearing you threaten other governments, threaten public officials, threaten presidents. That's not good leadership. And you know it's not good leadership when his own team, his own people decide to give rebuttals after. Well, he wasn't in the right mind. The president didn't mean what he said. No, he meant what he said. This dude voted in for Iraq and then pretended that Iraq was a bad idea after you voted for it. So you voted for the bloodshed. Then when the bloodshed happens and everybody's giving you shit for voting for bloodshed, you're like, well, it wasn't a good idea. Oh, God, this was your king, guys. This is your king right now. This is who y'all voted for. I did not vote for this motherfucker. So those are aspects. Before I go on my other tangent, I apologize because I want to stay on focus. It's important to understand that the more he gives money to Ukraine, he is now looking as a Ukraine president. He's the real president of Ukraine, and Zelensky is just under him. Zelensky is looking like his general, and Biden is the president of Ukraine, because the amount of money he gives out to Ukraine, he could literally feed everybody in the United States, housing for everybody in the United States, free healthcare for everybody in the United States. The amount of money that he has given Ukraine. I'm dead serious. I think I'm lying? Ask an economist. Or like, it's very simple how much money he has given out. He could have solved a lot of issues with the United States, but he decides to not solve those issues. He decides to continue to give Ukraine whatever they want. Now, the second part is of that whole Ukraine situation. Is it worth it? Is Ukraine worth the risk of a world war? Is Ukraine worth the risk of a collapsed Europe and a pending collapsed United States. Is Ukraine worth your gas prices going up? Is Ukraine worth your country losing all its value, its worth? Is it? Is it really? Because a world war, especially with a nuclear power country like Russia, who has now more nuclear warheads than we do, a world war is not a good idea. To close, it's not looking good over there. I mean, they're now acknowledging how serious the ending for Ukraine is going to be. Ukraine collapsed. Half of Ukraine is a part of Russian-speaking descent. Russia has already said that they were going into the Donbass and the Lugansk and the Donetsk regions to protect them. That's where majority of Russian-speaking Ukrainians live. By the way, Zelensky is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian and also is Jewish. So this is where they are at. If they wanted to really take over Kyiv, I think they would have been able to take over Kyiv. I'm sorry, Ivan, but the way that they have control over the eastern part of Ukraine never really had a chance. And the United States is using the Ukraine as a proxy. This is a proxy. They're dumping weapons into them. They're dumping money into them. All this money that they're giving, they're going to have to give back. There's repercussions. And this is, I don't know how much is it possible for them to join the EU, because the EU has stipulations where you shouldn't have any issues in your country. The country was already divided. It's been an 8-year civil war before Russia even invaded. Russia calls it a special operation. I disagree with the Russian propaganda of calling it a special operation. It is in fact an invasion. And you had no right to invade. But do I blame them for invading? I think it's wrong that they invaded, but I think that the reason why they invaded is because they've been pressured by NATO and the EU, and NATO especially keeps expanding. When Russia has said that this is seen as a threat towards them, the more that they expand, and it's expanding even more. We have Finland, we have Sweden. Now more Nordic countries are getting involved. Wow. More Nordic countries are getting involved. That's very interesting. But is it worth the headache to just, because what side is Biden really on when he says we have to support Ukraine when they are in a civil war, and he knows they are in a civil war? Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts. So yeah, I'm going to end this with just that. And thank you everyone for listening, and have a nice day.
Blank period, yeah. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?